Good morning guys, my first ever video. I've been wanting to do this for ages, but being quite honest, just too scared I think. So I've been posting text about property bits and bobs for probably nearly 20 years and never really had the courage, I guess, to do this on video. So first of many hopefully, and I just think that knowledge is power. I have lots and lots of conversations every single day about various different things to do with residential property in the UK, and I thought I'd start with the top 3 things you can do as a first-time buyer or as your first purchase in the UK. If you're in a property abroad at the moment, what you can do to tie that down, make the process as easy as possible and as quick as possible, going through the timescales. So number 1, the most important thing that you need to do to make this process easier for you is to first of all find out how much you can borrow, which will then in conjunction with the other 2 points give you an idea on what sort of properties to look for. So a lot of people might go to their bank in the first instance, which is a good start. The problem I think you'll have with the majority of banking solutions at the moment is that, one, you might be waiting a long time for a meeting, probably remote, could be 2 to 3 weeks I hear in some instances. And the other issue is pricing. You're limited to what that bank can offer only. My advice would be, by all means, go to your bank, have a look online, see how much you can borrow, it'll give you an idea. But there is no harm in trying a mortgage broker. A mortgage broker may charge you, and if they're doing their job properly, they'll probably be able to save you that money back by reviewing whole of market or most of market to find out if there are cheaper products out there for you and ultimately get you the best deal. What I also find with mortgage brokers, a lot of them are self-employed, so the service they can offer normally is a lot quicker, a lot more personal, and the communication is far more advanced. So when you're going through the process as well, you will find that there might be a few sticking points with the mortgage lender. And if you have a broker on board, they can help with that service tremendously, help iron out any issues, and if they have contacts at that bank, they can make sure that they get hold of them quickly. Number 2, and not a lot of people think of this, is that I speak to lots of first-time buyers or people buying in the UK for the first time, and their funding position is normally quite complex. So if your money is being drawn out of investments, there might be tax implications. If some of your funding for the property deal is coming from crypto, for example, that can be quite complicated, and I'll probably do a whole different video on that. And not only sort of where the money is coming from, but also the tax position in terms of stamp duty. So I talk to a lot of people that think they're first-time buyers but actually may have inherited a property in the past and since sold it, may have bought elsewhere in the world and sold it and bought for their first time in the UK. Doesn't necessarily make you a first-time buyer. In fact, very rarely makes you a first-time buyer. So you have to get tax advice if your position is non-standard in any way. Ultimately, you need to be deciding very early on, how much money do you have to spend on this property? How much money do you have to put down as a deposit? And how much money do you have to pay for stamp duty and professional fees? And you can't make that decision unless you've had proper advice. So number 1 is get a good mortgage broker on board. Number 2 is engage a tax advisor or financial advisor to talk about your funding and tax position. And number 3 is to make sure that you get a good lawyer on board. And what I'll do very quickly is give you some advice on how to do that. So you want to not be afraid to challenge them. You want to get on the phone to them and make a judgment call on things like how quickly it takes them to answer the phone, how quickly it takes them to come back to you. Are they clear? Is there a good rapport? Do they understand your position? Are they excited as you are about buying your first property? All that's really, really good and builds a good foundation. But secondly, within that, you want to make sure that they have capacity to act for you there and then. You want to make sure that have they got capacity to act for you throughout the entire transaction. Some transactions in the UK at the moment are taking 147 days, and that is a long process. So if you're choosing a lawyer who you'll be dealing with and has one assistant, but they've got a 3-week holiday throughout that time period, you're likely to see a drop in communication throughout that 3-week period and potentially a delay. So not ideal. Just don't be afraid to ask, what's their capacity like at the moment? What happens if my lawyer's on holiday or off sick for that time period? Have they got significant cover? Can this transaction be dealt with in the timescales that I require? And also, communication is absolutely key, whether you're speaking to an estate agent, a mortgage broker, tax advisor, lawyer. They will all say that communication is everything. Is everybody in that loop of property professionals on the same page? And I genuinely believe their transaction is far smoother and far quicker when communication is happening properly and frequently. So yeah, let me know your thoughts. I would want to do this sort of every week if I can. I just think there's far better engagement with video than on text, and I'll hopefully keep doing them. Thanks very much. See you on the next one.